Hello, everyone, and welcome to From the District with now Senator Suzanne Weber. I'm Adam Schwend, and I am joined with our new state senator, Suzanne Weber. Suzanne, you got a different name now.
I do.
How's the nomenclature change going? Are you used to it yet?
Well, I'm sort of used to it, but a lot of people aren't. So I've been introduced several times in the last week as representative. It's interesting. It's something to get used to.
Well, you know,
here's the other thing. There are still people that say, Mayor. So,
well, every time I've been around you and people ask you, what should they call you? You say, just call me Suzanne.
That's what I say.
Well, it has been a while since we've done one of these. We generally tend to do them during the sessions. So here we are now starting the long session.
Yes.
The Oregon legislature exists in two sessions. The long session, which is the budget session, which generally lasts from mid-January to the end of June.
160 days.
160 days constitutionally. And then the short session happens on the even number of years. And I believe that's 45 days, correct, Senator?
It's either 35 or 45.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a very short.
Yes.
So we're in the long session now. And you spent one long session in the House, very different, obviously, because it was during COVID tide. Now you're in the Senate. What's different?
Well, there are actually people in the building. Now, it's sort of like a maze trying to figure out how to get into the building. And, we have metal detectors at all entrances and exits. So everything is controlled. And I understand that there is a limit to how many people can be in the building also. But I haven't heard anyone say that limit has been met at any time recently. But it's so interesting to see people sitting all over the place. When we had weeks would go by and we wouldn't see anyone.
I know that was the loneliest place. I mean, I have a long experience in that building, and it was creepy.
Yes.
During those years.
And you know what the other amazing thing is? I have been looking at a lot of these lobbyists and people on the small screen for 2 years. There's quite a difference from the small screen to seeing them actually in person.
Right.
So, some of them, thankfully, have reintroduced themselves to me because I did not recognize them at all. But I think that they are coming to our office. They're asking for appointments, and appointments are usually 15 minutes at a time because there are so many people that have asked to be able to meet, to talk about what their priorities are, what groups' priorities are, and what personal citizens' priorities are. And there is also, the Senate office is huge.
Right.
And so that's interesting. And I have more staff in the office now also because my office is closed off and someone needs to be out there to meet the public.
Senator, turn off your television.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, I will.
It's obvious we have not done this for a while. So thank you very much, Senator, for doing that.
Here's the other thing. Because I have been at the Capitol later than usual, and then I have to drive to get home, I haven't been watching TV. I haven't seen anything on TV.
You're not missing anything.
That's good. That's good. I was so surprised to hear about the whale.
Yes.
and then the second whale.
Yeah.
So,
Yes, you've missed a lot of fun. You've missed a lot of fun. So I think I'm guessing the limit on the number of people that are in the building is not COVID related. It's construction related, because the building is very much a construction site.
it is a construction site, yes. And it's like a rabbit warren, because so many exits and entrances are closed off, and so you have to know where you're going. At one point in time, at the beginning, last week, I finally had to stop, and there was a state policeman there, and I had to say to him, I know where I'm going. I have no idea where I am. And so he helped me out. But because, the signage is different, the floors are different, the people are different. It's an adventure.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad you are getting the wonderful experience of a session with people in the building. It is much different than what you'd experienced in the past.
Yes.
You have some committees that you have been assigned to. You have 3. Go ahead and tell us about what you have on your plate in terms of committee assignments.
Well, I am thrilled that I'm going to continue on education, and I am also a vice chair on education, and there are only 8 members of the committee on the Senate side for education. There are, I think, that several hundred bills that we're going to be looking at, and some of them I really appreciate their creation, and some of them I can't imagine that they're going to get very far. But I think that's what happens every time. I'm also on education, ways and means, and we have several funding bills that'll be coming before us, but we have not met yet on that particular committee. I'm on the Human Services Committee, and we have several bills that are coming before us, but the meetings we had this week were not very long and not very in depth.
Right.
So, I'm not sure how that is all going to come together. And then I'm also on another committee, which is conduct. And that has not met either, because I believe that, if I'm correct, that will meet as needed. So, and there's one other thing that I'd like to explain, and that is that when I was in the House of Representatives, we had several committees relating to education. We had higher education. We had the creation of the new agency for what do you call it?
Early childhood.
Yes, I'm sorry, early childhood. Well, on the Senate side, there's only one. And so higher education and all phases of education are thrown into that one committee.
Right. So you have a lot to do.
So that means that the range of bills that we're going to have to be looking at is going to be far greater.
Well, and I want to just talk, just for those folks who don't know how the Ways and Means, what Ways and Means is. The Ways and Means is the committee that holds the purse. They're the ones who make the recommendations for funding. So if you get a bill that is in education and it's going to cost money, that bill then is sent on to the Ways and Means Committee, and the Ways and Means chair will disseminate it into the subcommittees that are subject matter based, and those subcommittees will make recommendations to the full committee about how that funding is to be doled out. So you are on the education subcommittee of Ways and Means, so you'll be helping to make the decision of where money goes, and that's a rather strenuous committee. Most of your committees only meet once or twice a week. This one meets nearly every day once it gets going, probably next week.
Yeah.
So that's a great. That's
and there are some bills already that have already been designated as going to Ways and Means, because we have gotten 8 lists of bills presently that have been proposed. And I've got a file folder about like that of potential things that will come before committees. So that's in progress.
Right. And this being a budget year, the Ways and Means committees are going to be even more hard at work than they normally are in any other part of the year.
Well, there's that, and the fact that the revenues and the revenue forecasts are not nearly as high as they were in the past. That's what I'm hearing. But we always seem to have enough money to accomplish what we need to accomplish.
Well, in the last session when you were in the House, actually the last 2 sessions when you were in the House, you were a real champion for your district and brought more money home to your district than any representative has to my understanding, to District 32 in history. And
Yeah.
that is, I think that goes owed to 2 things. 1, your tenacity of getting that job done. 2, just the record amount of money that was available for those projects.
And
that may not be this time.
Yes. However, county officials and municipalities, if you have projects right now that you think would fall under capital construction, you need to get that message to me, because we are already talking about the possibility of capital construction projects, and especially projects surrounding courthouses in the counties and infrastructure, your sewer and your water. If you have any kind of an idea of what you are already thinking about, if you have got engineering done, if you have got any kind of work already done on projects, I sure would appreciate hearing from you about that, because we are starting to be asked about that already.
Right. And that has been a big, almost the totality of the amount of money that you brought back to the district, because infrastructure is so important to you, has been these infrastructure projects that are one-time projects that need to be done. They're not ongoing. Those are probably not projects you want to come and bring to the senator. But if you've got infrastructure projects, if you're a mayor, if you're a city councilor, you're a city manager, you're a county administrator, and you have an infrastructure project that is shovel ready, you've got everything ready to go, and you're trying to get the funds together, please do let Senator Weber's office know ASAP. The sooner the better, because these deadlines sneak up on us really quick.
Right. Absolutely. And remember, there has to be a match.
Right.
And so be prepared also to inform us of what your match could be also.
Right. Excellent. So you're vice chair of education. You are on the education subcommittee of the Joint Ways and Means Committee. You mentioned you're on human services. That's a new committee for you. That you were in healthcare in the House, but now you're in human services. What is human services, and what does it do?
Well, that hasn't fully been vetted out yet, but it's going to involve a lot of issues surrounding mental health, physical health. We have not had the list in front of us yet for the bills that are going to be coming to our committee. But what we are going to be focusing on is the aspects of health around mental health, especially.
And I know that your committee, the Oregon State Hospital, falls under the jurisdiction of that committee.
Yes.
So I know it's had a lot of struggles going forward. And then also the child welfare system also falls under. So heavy stuff, but very, very important stuff.
Yes.
Excellent. Well, not a committee, it's a caucus, but I know it's one of your favorites. The Coastal Caucus, one of your favorites. a bipartisan, bicameral caucus of legislators that represent the coast. You have already been making news. You sent a letter to Governor Kotek regarding her her leaving off of the coastal areas on her executive order on housing. We've gotten a lot of folks wanting to talk about that.
Yes.
Talk about how it came about and where you're at right now.
Well, as soon as we saw the letter, the plan that she came forward with, we realized that the coast was not included. It was centered around the valley and one area in Southern Oregon and the Bend area. And we were basically left out of the program. And so we caucused right away and put together a letter and sent it to her, probably the day after she announced her plan. We have received a letter back from her, and she has assured us that she is absolutely committed to addressing homelessness in every corner of our state. And she was very gracious in her reply. And she also said in her reply that her initial executive order was based on her best available information at the time, but she feels that the data that she was given was underrepresented the needs. And so she has requested that a county governing body that wishes to be included in her plan submit requests to the Office of Emergency Management, oem.recovery@oregon.gov, and she will review any requests to make sure that she's including them including communities across the state. And so it's my hope that our county management governing bodies will especially, we're going to be reaching out to them, and we're also going to the governor's office to make sure of what she said in the letter as to who they reach out to with their requests and their data, so that they can be in her plan also. She's, she is planning on an early investment package to be able to do this. I don't, at this point in time, see how quickly it's going to move, because, as you know, government moves very slowly in a lot of issues. And yes, this is an issue that needs to be addressed. But I'm hearing from a lot of my constituents that they're really uncertain about how this is all going to play out. I heard from some constituents in the Forest Grove area that there is a plan for a village for homeless people in a residential area. And what I've told people is you need to remember that government can be your friend and that you can influence decisions in government. But if you are not there to make sure that your wishes are known, you will have to live by the consequences. And so I'm telling people to remember that they need to be vigilant, they have to pay attention, and they have to be able to speak up if they don't like what's happening. It was suggested that maybe zoning requirements be taken into consideration for some of this emergency housing or emergency shelters. And at this point in time, that is not something that we as a state have the capacity to do.
Right. Well, I know during the heat of the 2022 gubernatorial campaign, Governor Kotek, now Governor Kotek, often said she had a plan. She had a plan. A lot of us were saying, you've been Speaker of the House for 10 years. Why is this
I
just
know.
governor now? But it's a new day. She's governor now. And so she now has to put that. She said she has a plan. And now we have to say, okay, you're elected. You won. Now let's see the plan.
Let's see the plan.
That's where we're at right now.
Yes, that's exactly where we're at. But we're paying attention. We're especially paying attention to how this can impact the coast. And so, our letter was just, our first shot off the ball, but we will continue to monitor how the coast is served in the capacity that she feels will be.
Excellent. We'll definitely be keeping an eye on that. This is probably the lightest from the district that we will do, because we don't really have much we have legislation being formed, and but we don't have really any hearings to talk about. We don't know what's going to get a hearing and what's going to die on the vine, so we're not going to talk much about legislation right now, but we are hoping to continue to do these weekly and send them out with your weekly newsletter. That will absolutely be dependent on your schedule, especially as we get into the heat of the session around March, April, and we don't know when you're going to have to be on the floor and for how long. So we will do our best to get these out with your weekly newsletter. If not, please do bear with us. But so I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here. Senator, do you have any last words for anyone?
No, I don't. Well, you know me, I always have some last words. Don't hesitate to stay in contact. And when you do contact me or my office, my staff, please remember to put your contact information in the request. I have several phone calls that I'm going to have to be making tomorrow, and I'm hoping that if you get a call from me, I leave a lot of messages because people don't answer their phone, but I will continue to call until I get to talk to you. So please be patient, and not all of those funny numbers that show up on your phone are some spam.
You're calling to ask them if they would like to renew their warranty on their car, right?
Well, yeah, that and a couple other things. Yeah.
Talk about their student loans and all of that.
Well, yes. Yeah.
Well, if you would like to get a hold of Senator Weber, you can email her at Suzanne at weberfororegon.com. You can also go to her website at weberfororegon.com and use the contact me feature. Or you can also call her at 503-300-4493. If you are going to email the senator, it is really helpful, as Senator Weber said, to put your contact information, but it's really helpful to your cause if you put your address in, because it allows her staff to confirm that you're a constituent. And if you're a constituent, you get priority treatment. Senator gets thousands of emails, and a lot of them are from outside of the district. Honestly, some of them outside of the state. So it really helps a lot if you put your address in to show that you're a constituent, so that we can make sure that you go to the top of the list. So, well, Senator.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure, nice to see you, and it's sure nice to be back, reaching out to people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're just getting started. We got 5 more months of fun. 5 more months of fun. So we look forward to seeing everyone at least a number of times a month, hopefully weekly. And if you do, like I said, if you want to reach out to the senator, Suzanne at weberfororegon.com or 503-300-4493. Thank you very much, everyone, and have a great week.